Hello. So it's me, it's Aga. You can let me know whether you can hear me well, whether you can see me, and whether you can see the slides. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I will try to answer them in the end, in the last part of the webinar. Sorry. I think that I can still hear me, which is pretty strange. Oh yeah. Sorry, it's my first time organizing a webinar on YouTube, so I'm super nervous about it. So feel free to send me some cool emojis or GIFs. And yes, so for the questions, I'm going to answer them by the end of this webinar, by the end of this meeting. And I have about 10 seconds of delay, so also think about it when you'll be expecting some reactions from me. I'm just going to check for 1 second if you can see me. Yes, you can see me. So I think that we're going to start. I need to click play. And I'm just going to check one thing, whether you can see my slides okay. Okay, hello everyone, I can see your comments. I just need to wait to check whether the slides are in the full width. Yes, you can. Perfect. So I think that we can start. So welcome everyone on my first webinar in English. And the title is Creativity on the Web. My name is Aga, and I'm going to share some stories about creativity, my personal stories, but also some inspirations I found on the web, but not only. And also, I'll give you some exercises to boost your inner creativity and to forget about your inner perfectionist. So I hope you'll have fun. And if you have any comments or if you will have any thoughts that you would like to share with us, feel free to add them in the comments. So I'm Aga, and basically I'm a designer and coder, and usually introductions are pretty tough for me because I don't like to define myself in one word. I'm a designer, I'm a coder, I do both things, and I love playing with code and design. I love bringing the bridge between designers and developers, but I also solve problems in general. I was working as a UX designer for some times, and these days I'm trying to combine all these various skills I've learned throughout the years in the web industry. I love educating people. I love sharing my knowledge and my insights. So this is why I'm organizing a free webinar. And another thing about creativity is that I would like to create a new online classes. So this is the starting point. I wanted to ask you for feedback in the end, like what did you like the most, and what else you would like to find out, what exercises you would like to have in such course. So by the end of this webinar, you'll get a link to the questionnaire, and if you have some time, I will be super happy to read your comments. So basically, yeah, I'm a designer, I'm a coder, so you can find me on various platforms on the web. I have a fan page called The Awesomes, and unfortunately it's only in Polish, but if you feel check out some links out there, you're invited, of course. I'm also a Twitter user. I love Instagram, so if you'd like to check out what's happening there, you should definitely visit my account. So this webinar consists of 5 rules, let's say, 5 things that I think would be worth mentioning when talking about creativity. And as I already promised you to give you exercises. So feel free to let me know how it goes, how's the practicing part. But let's start with the very first rule, which is done is better than perfect. And I know that it's pretty known to everyone, and I think that you heard about this a lot. But the thing with this rule is that it's pretty tough to implement this in our lives, and including myself, because we all want to do perfect things. We all want to be professionalists, right? And we're kind of afraid of being assessed by anyone. And when we fail, it's not a pleasure. We definitely would like to forget about it as soon as possible. So the thing is that I would like to encourage you to think that actually making things is fun, and whether it's something that you do like super polished and like, you know, meticulously working on it, or maybe it's just like a prototype and an initial idea. It's still great that you're doing it, because like doing things is simply better than just overthinking. So one story that I would like to share with you that is very connected to this point is that one day I came up with the idea that I would like to create an online classes. And I found a teaching challenge on Skillshare platform. And at that day, I didn't know anything about creating online classes or being a teacher. So I decided that maybe it's high time to try my skills and to do something about it. The thing was that I was very motivated at the beginning, but throughout the month, because the challenge was planned for 1 month, I just like I didn't have this discipline. So my initial plan of creating something very big and polished and like the best online course ever, unfortunately, I knew that it's not going to happen. So I was very tired, and I decided that maybe I should skip this idea, and maybe I should do the course different time when I'll be more prepared. But I was planning to go on my holidays, and one weekend before these holidays, I thought that maybe it will be great to finish something before the holidays and have this satisfaction that I finally fulfilled my initial resolution. So I quickly planned a course for like recording and creating it, like, you know, editing it, the video, and I had only 3 days left. So it was a challenge, and unfortunately I was sick at the time, and I had a running nose, so my voice was very strange like that. And but at that time I was like, okay, like no matter what happens, I just want to finish this. I just want to have something that I made like from A to Z. I would just like to close the project and publish it and share it with people, no matter like what will be the final outcome. So I spent very busy weekend editing the videos and preparing the files for the classes, and I published it. And I didn't want to even think like what would be the reaction, because I wasn't very satisfied with it. I was tired, and I knew that in the end it was a different result. I wanted to create something big, and it was like short classes, but at least I did it. So this was my satisfaction. And guess what? These are the statistics from these classes, exactly these classes, and I took the screenshot today. So almost 4,000 people took part in my classes, and I got like 99 positive reviews of it, and got tons of messages that my course helped them to finally understand how CSS works, to finally get things done in CSS. So it was my huge success, as an educator, as a teacher. And if I would go with the rule, like create things that are big and perfect, I would probably never found out that I could create things that are short, but they're valuable for people. So this rule, done is better than perfect, proved that it really works. So if you're curious about these classes, and if you're curious, like what was my voice back then, like my voice like this, you can go to the link. I will send you all the links that I'm mentioning by the end. Yes, today I guess maybe, or tomorrow morning, via email. So all people subscribed to this webinar will get them. So you don't need to take screenshots. But yeah, this is the course, so you can check it out. And I'm curious whether there are people who did these classes. Let me know in the comments whether you had a chance to take part in my Skillshare courses. I'm really curious. So yes, whenever you're going to do a next project or thing that you're working on, try to think about done is better than perfect, and you can also have in mind my story with Skillshare classes that I did totally as an amateur, because I was using iPhone camera and QuickTime for screencasting my what's happening on the computer. So yeah, it was crazy time back then, but I'm very happy that that it turned out that people like it. And by the way, thanks to these classes, I became a top teacher on Skillshare. So it just proved me that it's better doing things rather than overthink them or over engineer. So the second rule, just give me a second. So the second rule is fusing. So fusing is about combining things. Sometimes these things can be contradictory. And this is also the way of looking for innovations. So if you think about Reese's peanut butter, this sweet peanut butter cupcake, it's made of chocolate and peanut butter. But before then, before Reese's emerged, people maybe they combine peanut butter and chocolate, but it wasn't that popular. So I think that combining things is super creative, and for many successes, I think that this is the key. So in my case, I was very tired of sitting in front of a computer screen, and I was very tired of looking at Behance and looking at the same pages that were built with 3 columns and grid that were very boring. So I decided to take inspiration from the offline world, from the analog world. And I remember that I was flipping through newspapers and playing with scissors. And at that time, I just got a flash of it's like it was like a new idea came to my mind, and I thought that maybe I could transfer some compositions from the newspaper to the web, and was trying to think about CSS, which is a coding language that helps you to style things on the web. I was trying to think about CSS just like scissors, so you can use CSS to cut out things, to create collage, and implement various techniques from the print. And at the time, I created small projects, simple websites. You can see some that glitter is cut it out and it's done with CSS. I was playing with paths in SVG to create wavy lines of texts, and I was also just cutting out some things with images, not in Photoshop, but directly on the web using CSS. And I create small projects, publish them on Twitter, and of course they weren't perfect. But one nice thing happened. I got a message from editor from Net Magazine. So this is one of the most popular paper magazine in the UK. And they asked me to write a cover article, a feature article on creativity and CSS. So it was just like a huge recognition for me, because I wrote my article, I think that was 8 8 pages article, and the title of my article was on the cover of the magazine. So it was very exciting, and I felt like super. I had a huge satisfaction out of it. So very small thing that just one day came to my mind. So playing with print actually like proved that that I can write an article, that I can talk about it to people, I can teach something. So fusing paper and web was a huge inspiration for me back then. And if you also look for some other combination of various things, I recommend you to check out Guardian's article, because they use the aesthetics of social media, which are very often like poor. I mean, they are very sometimes overwhelming. We don't like how the Facebook is designed, and we don't like what are the interactions. But it's something that we use every day. So Garden used some mechanisms out of it and combined it with very serious article. And I love how it's designed, that it's playful, but at the same is very specific and on the topic, and it proves its point. So I think that you should definitely take a look. And the next project in terms of fusing is this one. It's made by a friend of mine, Monica. I met her on the conference in Singapore. And Monica did a small but super cool project. So this is a picture of me. I uploaded to her tool. And I'm curious whether you can guess what my picture is made of. I think that this is a spoiler because I already showed you the slide. But yes, these are emojis. So so Monica made a small tool that helps you to present your picture with emojis. And I think it's super cute, it's funny, and you can call this a fun project or side project. But I think that it proves point that when you try to fuse playfulness, when you try to fuse something that is connected with entertainment with the serious stuff. So for Monica, it's engineering, it's programming, it's using machine learning libraries in JavaScript, brings you this project, which is, I think, super cool and super funny. And basically, Monica, she's the master in terms of fusing and combining various stuff. So you should definitely check her website. So you can find out even more projects like that. I love the fact that she's doing serious things because she's an engineer at Google, and she's been testing TensorFlow.js, which is a library for machine learning for the web. But she also does tons of creative stuff. Okay, rule number 3 is observe. So try to see in the reality small things that sometimes actually give you a sparkle of inspiration. And for me, it was the situation when I visited my parents, and my nephew, Ignace, was there. He's 6 years old. And I was observing him while he was drawing some things. And I found out that he actually knows the letters. So I was very excited by this fact, and I was asking, oh, Ignace, maybe you can tell me how you can write A and B and C and all the alphabet. And I fell in love with his small letters that were very, like, childish, like. And one idea came to my mind, and you can see the result of this. So I asked him to write all the letters on paper. And I told him that I would transform his letters to computer. And at that time, I was learning glyphs. So this is the program with which you can create your own font. So I'm not a professional typographer, so I knew that I'm just learning glyphs just to check out. But I knew that creating my font would take a lot of time because I need to learn first about the theory of letters and typography in general. But just this I kept in mind this first thing. So done is better than perfect. So what about creating a font out of handwriting? And this is how I digitalize his letters, to also have cool memories, to keep this. To keep Ignace in one file, to keep his handwriting in one file. So we had tons of fun during doing this. Ignace couldn't understand what I'm actually doing. Like, why you're using this program? It's so complicated. But when I showed him that I can type his letters in the computer, it was like, wow, effect. And it's not pretty tough. And the coolest, I think that one of the coolest things that I didn't expect about this project is that people were so excited about Ignace project, about Ignace font, that they asked me to organize workshop. So it was super nice to see all like people who are, in their 30s, who brought their pens and paper and were sitting for 4 hours writing letters, and they were so excited that they didn't want to do break during this workshop. So it was just a beautiful story for me as an educator, because it wasn't my plan to create such workshops, but it happened, and I was super thankful that I had a chance. So you'll never know what will happen, like where your small project would go, and I think that this is the coolest part, to observe things, and maybe one day you will observe something in the nature, on the tree, that will bring you to designing a new textile. Who knows? So the third rule is play, and I know that we all need to work and we all want to be professionals, but it's good to have fun factor in your work. And I know that it's maybe it's easier to tell rather to implement this, but I can't imagine my life just doing only serious things or things that are super rigid or boring. So one small project that I found out on Twitter is by Matthew. He's creating tons of small, funny demos. I won't show you here. Your homework would be to visit his website, Pulled Up Trombone, and see what did he do with responsiveness. So learning to make his website responsive, and doing some things with the trumpet. So maybe you already know what will happen. So you definitely should check this out. I think it was the fourth rule. Sorry for the typo. It's fourth rule. So the fifth and the last one, it's practice makes perfect. So of course, even if we have in heart the first rule that done is better than perfect, we all want to make our projects better. So we need to practice. And for the creativity, I know that many designers, for instance, they visit Behance or Dribbble to look for some cool projects, some fresh ideas. But I think that the best way of actually getting some fresh air is to learn by doing things rather than only watching. So it's very hard for me to call myself designer because I didn't graduate from art school or any form of design school. And I can draw, which is always a huge pain for me. But I try to, use the things that I try to use my, let's say, try to practice it a bit, and try to present my ideas with small sketches. And one day I decided to do a project on my Instagram, which is called Umiejętnik in Polish, and in English we can translate it as diary of skills. So I decided to write every day what I have learned, what I have found out. This could be small things like learning a new shortcut in the software, or finding out about new language that exists in the world, just to keep myself positive about that I'm not just in one place every day, but I tend to I tend to like get new information. I say, so I was thinking how I can present it to people, and one idea came to my mind that maybe I can play with paper finally, not only sitting in front of computer screen. So I was uh, let's say sketching the animation, the movie that I was preparing. So this practicing means for me that even if I don't feel perfect at something, and even if it's a hardship for me, I think it's always better just to do things rather than like being blocked for all the time. And of course, I'm not very I'm not eager to share my drawings to everyone, and it's kind of like a backstage photo. So maybe this is why I'm showing it to you. But I like my notebook is full of various sketches, and I think it's cool just to keep yourself busy, just to practice. You don't need to present your work to everyone, but I think documenting things, it's another cool thing that you can keep in mind. So summing up, I was talking about that done is better than perfect. I was talking that observing things helps, that fusing, combining various stuff can lead to innovation and can lead to fresh ideas. I was talking about playfulness at work, and finally about practicing, that practice makes perfect. So these were all my 5 rules that I try to implement in my everyday work and life to keep myself more creative. And I also promised you to show 3 exercises. So remember that creativity, it's like a muscle, and I think that everyone is creative. It's just a matter of practicing. It's just a matter of feel confident about your ideas, and you should I think that everyone should keep a little like a child in us to be like Ignacy, who just likes writing letters. And the very first exercise for you, and today is Friday finally, so you can spend your weekend on these 3 exercises or pick one depending on your needs. So the first one is for portfolio project. And I know that many of you are struggling with designing or coding or preparing in general your portfolio or the website that would present you as a brand. So you can try to build your own portfolio, but in the analog way. You can take the newspaper that is at your hand. I mean, it's this one. You can take scissors and you can just cut out some elements, treat them as components. You can take just like a blank paper and try to do a small composition. You can take some sections of the newspaper and try to think how you would use them on the website. So I would like to invite you to the analog world when we talk about designing things for the digital. So this is the first one. The second one is for the drawing skills, something for me. One day, just close your eyes, take the paper, take pen or pencil, close your eyes and try to draw yourself. Try to draw the self-portrait with your eyes closed, and try not to keep your pen stick glued to the paper. You can see the result of myself. Well, no comments. But I really like this exercise because ugly things happen when you're doing this. But I love that that like it helps you to forget a little bit about this perfectionism, and I think it would be great to do it in a collective manner. And I know it's hard, so maybe you can do it in front of Skype or Google Hangouts or whatever communicator you use. So number 2, self-portrait, and the number 3 is the emoji story. all of us communicate nowadays very often with emails. So instead of writing email with words, try use emojis. And of course, you don't have to send this emojis letter to your friend or your coworker or any officials. You can just keep it in your diary. But I think it's a great way to practice your creativity, to combine, to fuse these two words, the word of the digital word of emojis, social media, which is very often connected to social medias, and the very traditional world of words. So this is the number 3. You can let me know in the comments which one, number 1, portfolio, 2, self-portrait, or 3, emoji story is your favorite one, and which you're going to do during the weekend. And I'm really curious to see the results. So if you have Instagram, you can tag me and I will share the story, because I think it might be fun. So I think that we're running out of time, and it's amazing that I managed to get to almost the last slide. Yay! So I was very nervous about timing. So I'm on Instagram, and if you would like to find out more about creative stuff, you can always visit me there. Unfortunately, I'm posting a lot of posts in Polish. But if you would like to get translations, just let me know. It would be a great motivator for me to practice my English. Sorry for all the mistakes. And I'm also going to do there more exercises and some maybe challenges. So so I'm on Instagram as The Awesomes. And as mentioned at the very beginning, I'm planning to create online classes on creativity. And I did a small questionnaire. So if you would like to take part in it, there are only 3 questions. I would be very thankful. It's anonymous. And I'll also send you the link in the mailing after the webinar. So thank you so much. I forget to ask you at the very beginning, like, what do you do basically, and where do you live? Because I know that there are some Polish people, and there are some people, my Skillshare students from all over the world. So if you could take a minute at the very end to write, where do you come from? I'm super curious, and I will just have a look. I'll take 2 minutes for questions if there are any. So this is the time for questions. If you just like to ask me about anything. Oh, there's Justina writing. She's a jewelry designer. This is super cool. So greetings for Justina. We've got Clarissa from Brazil. Wow, that's amazing. What is the hour? What is the time in Brazil? I don't know. Okay, it looks like that you can see any questions. Maybe. Oh, there was a question whether the video will be available. And this is a tough question because, if something goes wrong, people don't want to share this. Like the creators, the authors don't want to share it with the world. But let's say that it's like a kind of exercise for me that done is better than perfect. So I'll share the video with you, and it will be available on this YouTube, on my channel, The Awesomes. Hopefully it's recorded, because I'm using this streaming platform for the first time. So we'll see. Okay. Yeah, I can see some comments, so thank you for them. To be honest, I'm super nervous about this webinar, but I made it. Okay, so I can see any questions. So if you will have any, you can write me directly or on Instagram. I'm available there as well. So as mentioned, I will send you an email with all the links that I was showing to you and wishing you creative Friday, and I hope that you will find some time for doing one of these exercises. And I'm super curious about the results, so please let me know. So it was great to organize this for you. Unfortunately, I can't see you, but maybe one day we're going to do the webinar with with cameras switched on. So thank you so much and have a great day. And now I need to click stop sharing, but I think it's super tough for me. Yeah, and broadcast. So thank you so much. Bye bye.